Have you been cheating all this time?
Out of nowhere, my husband, Michael, blurted out the words, looking at me as if he wanted me to deny it. "You must have hired a detective." Pictures of my partner and me entering a hotel. Photos of us walking arm in arm, snuggling close. The conclusive evidence was already in place. Maybe he was hoping I would apologize and cling to him. "Yes, just as you found out. But there's one thing you got wrong. This isn't an affair. It's serious." Finally, Michael could no longer face me and look down. "Let's get a divorce."
Understood.
After a brief pause, Michael nodded slowly in response to my final push. Michael and I, who both worked for a major company, met at a company social event and married after a workplace romance, despite being in different departments. Struggling with the demands of my sales job, I chose to become a stay-at-home mom following my marriage, relishing my newfound freedom. Perhaps it was this stress-free life that blessed me, as 2 years into our marriage I was pregnant, and soon after, I gave birth to our son, Kevin. A stable income from my husband and a darling son. It seemed like the perfect marriage everyone would envy. However, having a child completely transformed my carefree life as a housewife. Just feeding him every 3 hours was tough, not to mention his frequent fussiness and inability to nap. With severe nighttime crying, many nights were sleepless. Despite hearing that it gets easier after a few months, I was then faced with daily trips to the doctor for checkups and vaccinations. My life was wholly consumed by childcare with no time for myself. Michael tried to help when he was home, but he couldn't take time off work, which I understood, but it didn't feel very supportive at the time. I might have been experiencing postpartum depression in hindsight. Staying home with Kevin felt suffocating, and I was reaching my breaking point. I no longer felt affection for Kevin. Around the time Kevin turned 1, I told Michael I wanted to go back to work. Surprised, as he knew I had chosen to be a stay-at-home mom, he respected my decision. Until I settled into my job, Michael decided to take paternity leave. With my previous experience, I returned to a sales position through a mid-career hire at a small company. Working felt easier than being home with Kevin. Seeing me happy to go to work, Michael suggested that we both work and raise Kevin together. Once his paternity leave was over, he planned to put Kevin in daycare, showing me several nursery websites. I gladly agreed to his proposal and threw myself into my work more than ever. However, at my new job, I met an entrepreneur who was irresistibly charming. He was about the same age as Michael and had started his own business, which only added to his allure. Our conversations quickly shifted from business to personal, and I found myself agreeing without hesitation when he invited me to dinner. I justified it to myself as just work, and nodded without hesitation. The upscale restaurant was not a place for children, and that left me in a dreamy state. It didn't take long for me to remind myself that I'm not the type to just cater to Kevin. That evening, we checked into a luxurious hotel. By morning, Michael and Kevin had completely slipped my mind after a passionate night. Returning home the next morning, wondering how to explain my absence, Michael greeted me with a smile.
Hard day, huh? I heard it was urgent client work from a colleague. The shower's ready. Are you going to hop in?
Stunned by his response, I discreetly contacted the man. Apparently, his secretary had pretended to be a colleague and informed Michael. His thoughtfulness made me feel like a princess. And so, I fell deeper into the affair. He always seemed to care about my feelings and my family, making him indispensable to me. With him, my life could be happy, to the point where it's so believable. That's why I stopped caring about hiding the affair. Getting caught might even be better. I was ready for divorce if it came to that, because I felt so. Michael accusing me of infidelity came at a surprisingly welcome time. He said he wouldn't demand alimony even if we divorced.
Just give me custody of Kevin and this condo.
Filled with hellish memories with Kevin, I was more than happy to let Michael have this place. The divorce proceeded smoothly, and I quickly moved to my new partner's high-rise apartment. Living in his penthouse, he celebrated our divorce becoming final with champagne.
Let's celebrate our own marriage in a year.
He proposed, with the sparkling city lights as our backdrop. I felt like I had captured everything the world could offer. Having remarried to the entrepreneur, I returned to being a housewife and enjoyed my happiness. However, his wish for a child was a concern. More than 6 months after our remarriage, there was still no sign of pregnancy. With Michael, I had gotten pregnant naturally at just about the right time. I had been tested before and was told I was quite fertile. Honestly, I suspected the problem might be with him. When I mentioned this, he exploded in anger.
Are you saying the problem is with me? That I can't have children?
His fury was so intense that further testing seemed out of the question. Seeing him lose his composure was shocking. I had never seen him unravel before, but any deviation from his plans seemed to make him unstable. Maybe I had made a mistake. This remarriage might have been a mistake. I didn't want to think so, but I was beginning to realize it somewhere deep inside. As the days without a child continued, his behavior worsened. Eventually, we slept in separate rooms, and there were days I wasn't even sure if Robert was home. One day, a single phone call rang. It turned everything upside down. Hello.
Are you his wife? I'm not sure if I can still call you that. I'm pregnant with his child. He knows and has acknowledged it. It's a boy, due in a few months.
I wanted to believe it was a lie, but the likelihood of his infidelity was high. His frequent absences had become the norm. Our relationship had grown so cold that he hardly looked at me anymore. But could the child really be his? No, that can't be. I muttered.
Guess you'd know, being his wife and all. But honestly, it doesn't matter. He's acknowledged the child,
she said before hanging up. As soon as he returned, I confronted him. The child's paternity is questionable. He wouldn't listen.
There's a public image to maintain, so I won't divorce you. But the child that's coming will be my heir. It's because there's something wrong with you that this happened. I had no choice but to have a child with someone else.
I was furious at him for justifying his affair, but I was too scared to let go of this lifestyle. Even knowing I wasn't loved, I couldn't resist the allure of living freely surrounded by luxury. But then he said,
You'll take care of the upcoming child and his mother as a nanny. Despite being the legal wife, you can have children and just keep spending money. It's time you took some responsibility.
What? Taking care of a child not related to me by blood? And the woman from the affair? Could there be anything more humiliating? It felt like I could hear a baby crying in the distance, and I was scratching at my throat. It's painful. I can't breathe. Overwhelmed, I left the house without caring about his shouting. Where did I go wrong? Before I knew it, I had reached the condo where I used to live with Michael. The scenery hadn't changed, and there was a strange comfort in it. I had hated that room so much, yet now I found myself missing it. Thinking back, Michael had always considered my feelings first, whether I chose to be a housewife or to work. Even when we were trying to have a child, He went for tests with me and said, "It's okay whether we have one or not." If I asked for help, wouldn't Michael help me? Suddenly, I felt a glimmer of hope. As I look at the unchanged apartment, it almost feels like if I rang the doorbell now, Michael and Kevin would welcome me. That's how I felt. I hadn't seen Kevin for about 2 years, but suddenly I missed him terribly. No mother could stop loving her own blood-related child.
Ma'am, are you going to ring the bell?
As I hesitated over pressing the room number, a child spoke to me. I turned around, shocked. It was unmistakably my son. But now, had Kevin just called me ma'am? Kevin didn't recognize me as his mother, not even remembering my face. Despair struck me at Kevin's harsh words. Kevin is looking at me with a puzzled expression as I become speechless.
Brenda.
It's likely he followed Kevin. Out of breath, Michael stood before me. Michael? Michael lifted Kevin and gently scolded him.
This isn't our home anymore.
I was just looking. I like our new, much bigger house better.
Mom's waiting for us, so let's hurry back.
Yeah. And my little brother's waiting too.
Hey, you're getting ahead of yourself. We don't even know if it's a brother or a sister yet.
This heartwarming family conversation just passed through my ears. Michael and Kevin continued walking past me, ignoring me completely. I wanted a redo. I couldn't even get the words out. Michael had sold the condo full of memories, remarried. And now they're expecting another child. Michael and Kevin, the picture-perfect happy family. I was supposed to be part of that too. Why did I make the wrong choice back then? Faced with the hellish days ahead as punishment, I felt nothing but despair.